Peace, blessings, salutations. Yarima Karama here with another segment of Voices from Behind the Wall. I know it's been a minute since I've done one of these segments, but been on other things, doing other segments, real life, real talk. These are the days of our lives, that sort of thing, and doing a lot of live streaming, trying to do some promotion for Black businesses in the state. So I've had my plate full, along with some personal things that I'm dealing with. But in any case, I wanted to do this segment of Voices from Behind the Wall, and when I left off with the last segment, I think we were talking about some individuals, people that I met along my journey. Talked about some specific people and some of the things that they went through, some of the things that I saw. So I wanted to, and I got an inbox, and so I wanted to touch on this subject. I gave my word that I would. And the brother, actually it was a couple brothers, asked me to talk about the relationship between Black female guards and white guards in the prison industrial complex. And what's real touchy about this subject is from a standpoint of being in prison. Well, from a standpoint of war. And I'll take it there because I would advise anybody, if you get the chance, read Ivan Van Sertima's Art of War. Very informative. But from the standpoint of war, and basically when you're behind enemy lines in prison, you're in a war zone. But there's a few things that go on. It's not just a physical war; it becomes a psychological war. And so some of the psychological games that are played on the minds, especially on the minds of strong, conscious men, because the unconscious, they don't really care one way or the other, it seems. But the conscious men, they try to break you down. And so, from the standpoint of war, we know that the conqueror comes in. The first person that the conqueror is going to take out is the strong, the men. And so, once the conqueror takes out the men, he automatically knows he can control the women because they're the weaker of the species. He might not be able to control all of them, such as a case of Harriet Tubman, but for the most part, he knows that he can control the women. And this is an issue in our country, in our society, quite frankly, and it's relevant. So we had this lady. I'll call her Tanisha. And so Tanisha was from California, had come to our particular facility that I was at, was a guard, and made it known right off the top. I don't know what Tanisha's been through in her life, but she made it known right off the top she did not like Black men. Now, she was a Black woman, nice looking Black woman, and let it be known right off the top that she did not care for Black men. And she also let it be known off the top that she liked white men. And so what would happen is that, and this is where the psychology comes in, where they play games and try to break you down, because now you're behind enemy lines, you're weakened. So now what they do is they play on the fact that, hey, we're sleeping with your woman. And the white guards, very racist. These white guards, they would let you know they don't like anything Black. They'd let you know that. And it was no secret. But these same guards would let certain factions of convicts, both white and Black, let them know, yeah, we ran trains on her last night. Yeah, she did her all in her butt and all of that. And yeah, ran it. And she might be a few feet away down. They're whispering so that she can't hear, but they're letting it be known that we got your woman. And the psychology comes in because you know that these dudes are the most racist dudes, some of the most racist that you would ever come in contact with. And it's funny because white racism, especially amongst men, has different variables. There are different variables. Like, you have white racists who, like some of your skinhead groups, they won't They don't like black men or black women. Period. They don't like black babies. Nothing. Their thing is to perpetuate and expand the white race. They don't nothing black. Then you have some of your groups, some of your AB groups, your Aryan brothers, who they will can't stand black men. They'll sleep with a black woman or something like just to rub it in, just to let you know, yeah, I got your woman, and you know that sort of thing. And so these are the different factions of racism, but the psychology that goes along with this. So it's almost a point now because you're in war, because we understand that, you know, basically we're behind enemy lines. You can't let this affect you. As much as it hurts, you can't let this affect you. And it comes to the point where you have to discount. You have to discount some. Forget about her. She's part of that regime now. So forget about her. But these are lessons, and for the weak ones, they'll get broken down with this. For the strong ones, you know that they're trying to break you down and they're using any means necessary. They already got you at a disadvantage. So unless you decide to buck or do something like that, it's not going to be physical. So the only other alternative they have is to play on your mental and try to break you down there. And so this is where the spiritual aspect comes in, because you really have to be on a higher plane. You really have to be dealing in a higher self. Your higher self, you got your lower and your higher self. You really have to be dealing in your higher self to be able to withstand this type of thing. And then you come to a point where you get it. Like, okay, there are going to be some that are just not going to get it. You have to let them go. Let them keep it moving. And so Tanisha was one of those. And she would give brothers the blues, shake them down unnecessarily, and would blatantly let white convicts make it, go on through, would blatantly pick out black men, roughly shake them down to let them know that I ain't got no love. Now, I don't know, you know, what happened in her life. Really don't care at this point, and didn't care then once I found out, because at that point, you know, if your self-esteem is that low, because just as we knew that these guys were racist, you got to know. And so if her thing or ulterior motive was to sleep with them to get at us, it worked on some. There were some brothers who were totally infuriated with that. And initially, when we start finding out these things, I was infuriated as well. But then you come to a point where we have study groups like, yo, bro, you got to let that go. You know, let them. There's going to be some who don't make it. They just don't make it. They're not going to get it. Got to let them go. Let them go to their side. They're on their team now. Let them be there. And so that was a case with this particular black lady guard. And there were a couple cases like that throughout my stay, where, you know, sisters, they I can't even really refer to them as sisters, but they just had a total dislike for black men. And I think I've made this statement before in past video that, you know, you just as you have black men who date white women, and both of those two really kind of probably hate black women, you have black women that date white men, and the one commonality that they have in common is that they hate black men. And that's a reality. That's a reality, and it's something that people don't want to talk about. All this talk about, you know, hey, we need to look past skin color. Yeah, we in a better world, we probably could, but you know, racism wasn't created by us, so not by black people. So yeah, I have to pay attention to skin color, because, you know, my survival depends on it, unfortunately. So with that, my name is Yurima Karama. This is Voices from Behind the Wall. Touch bases with me, friend me on Facebook, connect with me on FB, Instagram, Twitter. Go to my webpage, www.yurimakarama.com. You can go there for my booking info. message me if you got a topic you want me to touch on, or you can go there to find out my performance dates and locations. So with that said, peace, blessings, salutations. I'm out. One.